Eating the same thing every day might look boring, but it's often a sign of a sharp mind. Highly intelligent people tend to eliminate low-impact decisions: what to wear, what to eat. They conserve mental energy for harder problems. It's called decision fatigue. The more choices you make in a day, the worse your decisions get. So removing small ones helps. Steve Jobs wore the same outfit every day. Zuckerberg does it too. For some, repeating meals is the same idea. It simplifies life and clears mental space. Studies also show routines can boost productivity and reduce anxiety. Repetition isn't laziness. It's efficiency. So if someone eats chicken and rice every day, they might not be dull, they might just be busy outsmarting you. And if that sounds familiar, well, you're not alone. Here are 10 more subtle signs you might be smarter than you think. 10. You build life systems you never use? That's not failure. That's designer brain mode. You've got a Notion dashboard with 17 tabs. A habit tracker. A 5-year plan color-coded by chakra. But it's 2 p.m. you're eating cereal, and your to-do list is untouched. Sound like failure? Not exactly. It's a classic move of a high-functioning overthinker. Smart minds love structure. They design systems not just to get things done, but because building them feels like solving a puzzle. You get dopamine from organizing, from mapping the perfect routine, not necessarily from living it. You're less of a daily operator, more like the architect who forgets to move in. And maybe you'll revisit the system next Monday. Or next year. But even if you don't, the fact that you built it shows how your brain thrives on clarity and optimization. You didn't fail the system, you just enjoyed blueprinting more than executing. 9. You disappear after socializing. After a party, some people want an after-party. You want silence and a door that locks. People might think you're antisocial, but really, you're just recharging a busy brain. Studies show that people with higher cognitive ability often feel drained by social interaction, not because they dislike people, but because they process everything. Every glance, every pause, did I say that right, gets played on loop like social security footage. One study even found that intelligent individuals feel less satisfied the more they socialize. You're not rude. You're just doing mental maintenance. 8. You're up at 2 a.m. doing nothing? That's not insomnia. That's intelligence on night mode. You're not working. You're not partying. You're just awake. At 2 a.m. again. And no, it's not always because of anxiety or bad habits. Sometimes, that's when your brain finally switches on. Studies link late-night behavior to higher IQ scores. Night owls often perform better in creative thinking, abstract reasoning, and problem-solving. While the world powers down, your thoughts power up. Why? Because nighttime is quiet. No distractions. No social pressure, just space to think, and that space, that's where ideas come to life. Some of history's brightest minds, Darwin, Mozart, Churchill, were notorious night owls. They didn't follow the 9 to 5. They followed their mental rhythm. You're not lazy. You're just running on after-hours genius mode. 7. Small talk feels like mental sandpaper? That's not rudeness. That's depth. Someone starts talking about the weather, and you start wondering how time works. Sound familiar? If small talk makes your brain go numb, you're not broken, you're probably wired for depth. Highly intelligent minds don't just want to chat, they want to explore. Not, how was your weekend? But, do you think time feels faster as we age because of memory compression? Now that's a conversation. Researchers call this the need for meaningful stimulation. Your brain craves complexity, nuance, ideas. So while most people are content swapping updates about lunch, you're busy mentally designing a better society during that same chat. It's not that you hate people, you just can't fake interest in things that don't spark anything real. You're not antisocial. You're just running on broadband, and small talk feels like dial-up. 6. You procrastinate and still crush it. You had 2 weeks, you started 2 hours before the deadline, and somehow, it turned out great. People call it procrastination, you call it activated genius mode. Brilliant minds often work best under pressure. Why? Because pressure cuts out noise. It forces clarity, focus, execution. Da Vinci took 16 years to finish the Mona Lisa. Douglas Adams loved deadlines, especially the whooshing sound they made as they flew by. You're not avoiding work. You're just waiting for the countdown to ignite your brain. 5. You drop jokes that nobody gets? That's not cringe. That's cognitive comedy. You say, my dating life is like Schrodinger's cat, both alive and dead. Everyone blinks, you chuckle. Alone. It's not that you're not funny. You're just using a different frequency. Research shows people with higher intelligence prefer complex humor, wordplay, dark irony, niche references, stuff that takes a second to land. Or 5. You might be into jokes that require a diagram. Or ones that collapse if someone hasn't seen that 190s sci-fi show. Your humor isn't bad. It's just engineered differently. It's the kind of comedy that sparks laughter after thought, not instead of it. And sure, maybe the room doesn't laugh right away, but somewhere, in a Reddit thread, you'd absolutely kill. You're not unfunny, your audience is just buffering. 4. Socially awkward? Maybe you're just too smart for small talk. You've rehearsed your coffee order 5 times, and when your turn comes? I'll have a black, regular? I mean takeaway, please. You walk away with coffee, and a full body cringe. It's not that you can't socialize, you just overprocess everything. Highly intelligent people often overanalyze social situations, tone, timing, eye contact, all calculated in milliseconds. Einstein was famously awkward, Newton basically ghosted humanity. You're not bad at talking. You're just running a social simulation no one else sees. 3. Always asking why. Someone says, it's just the way things are. And you say, yeah, but why? You're not trying to argue, you just can't not question it. Psychologists call this low cognitive closure, the ability to sit with uncertainty, dig deeper, and ask better questions. Einstein called it holy curiosity, Socrates turned it into a lifestyle. So if people ask, why can't you just go with the flow? Smile and say, because I'm busy rerouting the river. 2. You ignore instructions and figure things out yourself? That's not stubbornness. That's DIY intelligence. You buy a coffee machine, you skip the manual, then take it apart just to see how it works. That's not recklessness. That's curiosity in action. Highly intelligent people often show what psychologists call a high need for cognition. They don't just want to know what to do, they want to understand why it works. Following instructions without testing feels like reading the last page of a novel before the first chapter. What's the fun in that? You don't trust recipes, you edit them, you don't follow rules, you reverse engineer them, and yes, sometimes it ends in chaos, but often, it leads to insights no instruction manual could give you. You're not trying to be difficult. You're just wired to question, experiment, and solve on your own terms. You don't disobey instructions, you stress test them. 1. Getting emotionally attached to objects. You say sorry to a chair, you feel bad for throwing out your old shoes, you wave goodbye to your car like it has feelings. Sound familiar? It's not childish. It's emotional intelligence. This behavior is called anthropomorphism, and it's linked to empathy, creativity, and sensitivity. Some of the most emotionally intelligent people can't help but connect, even with things that don't talk back. You're not weird. You're just wired to care. So, if you've ever felt a little out of sync with the world, too curious, too quiet, too intense, or just different, you're not broken. You're probably just running on higher mental specs than most. Because intelligence doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just quietly eats the same lunch every day, laughs at its own jokes, and questions everything, including itself. If any of these signs hit close to home, congratulations. You might be smarter than you think. Now tell me, which one of these felt a little too accurate? Drop it in the comments. Tag someone who needs to hear this. And don't forget to follow for more insights. Because smart doesn't have to mean serious. Sometimes, it just means you're seeing the world in HD, while everyone else is still buffering.